You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Any given Saturday, can Syracuse go on the road, beat Clemson, beat Notre Dame? Let's discuss. I think undoubtedly, when you look at the preseason, and who knows how the season will actually unfold, but at least on paper, when you look at the schedule for Syracuse, the two toughest games, and I don't think it's particularly close, at Clemson and at Notre Dame, that is the order in which they will play those teams. In order for Syracuse to beat one of these teams, they're going to have to catch them on off days. Because if either Clemson or Notre Dame, if they are clicking, there is no chance that Syracuse can win. Literally zero. These are teams that have much more talent than Syracuse. They have elite head coaches, just like Fran Brown, in my opinion, is one of the best head coaches in the ACC, if not of all college football. Those teams have that too. These are teams where if they're clicking, Syracuse has absolutely no chance at pulling off an upset. It just is what it is. And to be honest with you all, if those teams are clicking, just to make you feel better maybe as a Syracuse fan, to not sound too negative, there's maybe only a handful of teams in the country that can beat a Clemson or can beat a Notre Dame when those teams are playing really well. There's maybe only a handful. Ohio State, maybe some teams in the SEC like a Georgia or a Bama, those teams like a year in and year out basis that are always good. Yeah, maybe those teams could beat them, but there's not many. These are teams that could be in the college football semifinals this upcoming year. Top four. These are teams that can realistically win the national title in 2025. So if they're on, they're on. There's no chance. Now, if they're off, if you catch them on an off day, but Syracuse is off as well, so they're both not playing well, again, Syracuse is not going to beat them. So the only way that Syracuse could beat a team like Clemson or could beat a team like Notre Dame on the road is to A, catch them in an off game, or B, Syracuse plays extremely well. Almost mistake-free football in those games. Let's start off talking about Clemson. We've gone over in recent times how Syracuse, actually with not a lot of talent and not as good of a coaching staff, has gone into Clemson and given them a scare. They've done that before. They pulled off the upset years ago at home, but they've gone into Death Valley and have given Clemson a run for its money. They have. They've had double-digit leads in the third, fourth quarter. They haven't been able to get it done. The one-win team in 2020 was within a touchdown in the third quarter of that game. For whatever reason, albeit different regime, Syracuse going to Clemson, they managed to keep it close. So can they finally get over the hump? Well, here's the deal with Clemson this season. They have the best coach in the ACC in Dabo Swinney. They have the best quarterback in the ACC, in my opinion, in Cade Klubnik. They got two defensive linemen on Pro Football Focus where they rank inside the top 10 overall players in the nation. Not defensive linemen in the nation, overall players in the nation on their defensive line, Peter Woods and TJ Parker. They are loaded with 4- and 5-star talent at basically every single position group. It's all there. So again, if Clemson's on its A game, Syracuse does not have much of a chance to win. Now, with Notre Dame, they're a little bit different than Clemson. Because Notre Dame is almost like Georgia Tech, but they are the boss version of Georgia Tech. It's not complicated to figure out what Notre Dame is going to want to do to Syracuse and any team in the country. They got one of the top running backs in the nation in Jeremiah Love. You can easily make the argument he's the best running back in the nation. They got an elite offensive line. They're elite on defense. What do they want to do? Run the damn ball. And Syracuse is going to Notre Dame in late November, the Saturday before Thanksgiving. It's going to be cold. in Notre Dame, maybe bitterly cold. Syracuse is a team, like we mentioned, likes to throw the football. Those conditions are not necessarily suitable to throw the ball. Now, the difference with Notre Dame, I think, in Clemson is that with Notre Dame, if you can manage to stop them on the ground or slow them down, you give yourself a chance at winning. I feel like with Clemson, they might be a little bit more on offense, more well-rounded than Notre Dame. And we saw with Notre Dame last year, they lost a home game to Northern Illinois early in the season, in large part because Northern Illinois did a very solid job of A, controlling the clock. They had the ball for most of the game, and B, stopping Notre Dame on the ground. Jeremiah Love did not go crazy in that game. He had less than 80 yards. I think he averaged over 4 yards per carry, but that was aided by the fact that he had a run of about 30 yards, and that was it. He really did not make much of an impact in that game. For whatever reason, Northern Illinois went into Notre Dame and beat them. So that's why you say never. But having said that, after Notre Dame lost, I believe, the second game of the season to Northern Illinois last year, they did not lose again until Ohio State in the national championship. That's what it took to eventually beat them. With Notre Dame, stopping the run is easier said than done. And I think we'll know more about how Syracuse can maybe handle a team like Notre Dame when they play Georgia Tech. If Syracuse plays Georgia Tech and they let up 200 yards on the ground to them, they have no chance. They have no chance of beating Notre Dame. Now, if they do well against Georgia Tech and they kind of stop them on the ground, okay, maybe Syracuse has an outside shot at upsetting a team like Notre Dame.